A very tall son named Barron. Has anyone ever heard of him?
Former President Bill Clinton is turning the tables on Donald Trump with regards to the release of the Epstein files. While Donald Trump and MAGA are trying to make this all about former President Bill Clinton has officially demanded full transparency from the Trump DOJ on the Epstein files. Clinton's spokesperson says that the Department of Justice's selective release suggests that someone is being protected. Quote, "We need no such protection," he writes. He calls on Donald Trump to direct Attorney General Pam Bondi to immediately release all of the remaining materials referencing Clinton, including grand jury records and photos.
Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett from Texas has become Donald Trump's worst nightmare. In September 2025, a reporter simply mentioned her name in the Oval Office, and Trump completely melted down. His cabinet laughed as Trump ranted about Davy Crockett. But here's the truth. Crockett has exposed his family's immigration fraud, accused him of destroying Epstein evidence, and called him a low IQ wannabe dictator. Every attack Trump throws at her proves she's right. Subscribe now to see how this first-term Congresswoman is driving Trump insane.
But she's very low IQ, and we really don't need low IQ. Between her and Crockett, we're going to give them both an IQ test to see who comes out best. Now, I took my test. I took a real test at Walter Reed Medical Center, and I aced it. I got every one of all those questions right.
The idea that Trump and my Republican colleagues want to restore integrity and security in the visa process is actually a joke. Let me be clear. Integrity is not snatching lawful visa holders off the streets and throwing them into unmarked vans. Integrity is not revoking visas based on social media posts that hurt somebody's little feelings because kids decide that they want to go after Trump or this administration. We have a thing called free speech in this country.
That in the Epstein emails that were released by the House Oversight Committee, the Democrats were able to get their hands on 18,000 plus emails from the Epstein estate, which the Trump regime was covering up. If you go back to an email from March 6th, 2011, this was from Jeffrey Epstein to another email address. It says, "You okay? The stories are complete and utter fantasy. I don't know and have never met Al Gore. Clinton was never on the island. The telephone book is not mine. It was stolen by my houseman that is currently in prison for doing so."
September 2025. Trump's Oval Office meltdown. September 25th, 2025. The Oval Office. A reporter mentions Jasmine Crockett's name. Trump immediately interrupts. "Jasmine Crockett? Remember what I say. Is she a relation to the late great Davy Crockett? I don't think so." Behind Trump, cabinet members, including J.D. Vance, burst into forced laughter. But Trump continues. "The radical left is causing the problem. They're really dumb people." I look at Crockett. This is a low IQ person who I can't even believe is a congressperson.
Star? If that's their new star, they're in serious trouble. I mean, this is Crockett. Oh man. But we've done a job, but they've totally lost their confidence. And it's a hard thing when you lose your confidence.
Somehow our president was able to find under the couch cushion, the one that JD wasn't sitting on, under the couch cushion, he was able to find 40. How much did he find to send to Argentina? 40, there we go. 40 billion to send to Argentina.
Also, in the recent interviews that Susie Wiles gave to Vanity Fair. Here's what it says. But neither apparently is Mr. Clinton. Asked about Mr. Trump's claim going back years that Bill Clinton had visited the Epstein Island, Ms. Wiles said, quote, "There is no evidence." Asked if there was anything incriminating about Mr. Clinton in the files, as Mr. Trump has suggested, she said, "The president was wrong about that." Wrong about that? You mean defamatory about that?
A reporter mentioned her name, and Trump spent 3 minutes attacking her. Why? Because Jasmine Crockett terrifies him. June 2025. Crockett exposes Melania's Einstein visa fraud. In June 2025, during a House Judiciary Committee hearing, Crockett exposed the Trump family's hypocrisy. Since we're talking about integrity, I'm confused as to why my Republican colleagues aren't talking about the lack of integrity when it comes to the president's family's visas. She continued,
And so we took all these incidents, and my staffer, I'm like, dude, this letter is getting way too long. I mean, it was like he's falling asleep. He forgets that he appointed Jerome Powell. We would have added January 6th if we had dropped, he forgot he was president on January 6th. The rest of the world did not. So there is something happening, and this is based on what actual medical professionals.
Goes on to say that it was Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche's idea to go and interview Mr. Epstein's convicted child sex trafficking associate Ghislaine Maxwell in prison, and that the president did not know that she would be transferred to a minimum security prison camp. The president was ticked, she said. The president was mighty unhappy. I don't know why they moved her. Neither does the president. Sure, Susie Wiles, sure. Let's just take a look at the official statement from former President Bill Clinton through a spokesperson. Here's what it says. The Epstein Files Transparency Act imposes a clear legal duty on the U.S. Department of Justice to produce the full and complete record the public demands and deserves. However, what the Department of Justice has released so far and the manner in which it did so makes one thing clear. Someone or something is being protected.
Melania, the First Lady, a model, and when I say model, I'm not talking about Tyra Banks, Cindy Crawford, or Naomi Campbell level, applied for and was given an EB-1 visa, an Einstein visa. You receive an Einstein visa for significant achievements like a Nobel Prize, Pulitzer, or Olympic medal. The last time I checked, the First Lady had none of those accolades. It doesn't take an Einstein to see that the math ain't mathin' here. Crockett exposed that Melania received a visa for extraordinary ability, while Trump deported thousands of immigrants. The hypocrisy was devastating.
I don't think that, honestly, policy is what we need to be fighting about. Because guess what? Can't nobody tell you what Donald Trump's policies were at all. Like, you ask them, like, what policies? I don't know, but he gonna bring down the cost of eggs. But last time I checked, that didn't happen, right? Mm-hmm. It'd be like, well, we're saying it's Project 2025. No, Donald said he knows nothing about that.
Clinton saying Clinton does not need such protection. And just pause here for a second. As we've said on the Midas Touch Network, we're not out here defending former President Bill Clinton. If he's on the list or if he's in the files, they should all be released, period, full stop. And it's good to hear that former President Bill Clinton is saying so himself. Accordingly, Clinton goes on to say, we call on Trump to direct Attorney General Bondi to immediately release any remaining materials referring to, mentioning, or containing a photograph of Bill Clinton. This includes without limitation any records that may exist and are subject to disclosure under the Act. And it goes on to talk about the Epstein Transparency Act, including grand jury transcripts, interview notes, photographs, and findings by the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York.
Trump's low IQ obsession. Trump has called Crockett low IQ dozens of times. In August 2025, when you have low IQ people like Crockett in September, a very low IQ person who I can't even believe is a congressperson, he demanded she take a dementia screening test, the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, which asks you to draw a clock and identify animals, not an IQ test at all. Here's what Trump doesn't mention. Crockett graduated from law school, served as a civil rights attorney, and now serves in Congress. But Trump, who suggested injecting bleach, claimed windmills cause cancer, and can't pronounce Yosemite, keeps calling her low IQ.
Y'all that don't know, let me tell you how you receive an Einstein visa. You're supposed to have some sort of significant achievement, like being awarded a Nobel Peace Prize or a Pulitzer, being an Olympic medalist, or having other sustained extraordinary abilities and success in sciences, arts, education, business, or athletics. Last time I checked, the First Lady had none of those accolades under her belt. It doesn't take an Einstein to see that the math ain't mathin'.
as referenced under oath to Congress by President Trump's first-term Attorney General. Refusal to do so will confirm the widespread suspicion that the Department of Justice's action to date are not about transparency, but about insinuation, using selective releases to imply wrongdoing about individuals who have already been repeatedly cleared by the very same Department of Justice over many years under presidents and attorney generals of both parties. Now, you will recall that the Trump regime, in their document production from Friday, where they violated the Epstein transparency law and produced like only 2 to 5% of the files.
Crockett responded on CNN, "This is a person that has a problem with people of color, period. When we look at who he's kicking out of this country, it is people of color." July 2025. Crockett predicts Epstein cover-up. When House Speaker Mike Johnson shut down Congress to block an Epstein vote, Crockett told Russell Ellis to go from "it's on my desk" to "it doesn't exist. They may be engaging in destroying evidence. We know that he's not above that." She reminded Americans about Mar-a-Lago classified documents. What did he do? He engaged in destroying evidence.
Because they didn't want the American people to see it, and there would be no reason for Trump to have to call them in to the White House to try to twist their arms if it was just so great. So yes, they may have their talking points together.
That the DOJ has relating to Epstein, mostly all of it was redacted. You know that by now. They basically produced redacted documents, except when it came to former President Clinton, where out of context, they showed photos without explaining what it is. Like there was a photo of former President Clinton in a pool. It appears to be Elaine in the pool and someone else's face is redacted. So the Trump regime was trying to insinuate, oh, Clinton must be with a victim here. But this pool pic was not at Epstein Island. It's at the Empire Hotel pool in Brunei. The redacted face there is likely Sarah Kellen, this one account says, one of Epstein's top lieutenants who received immunity in the deal that Alex Acosta brokered. And Alex Acosta went on to become Donald Trump's labor secretary during his first term.
Then she predicted exactly what Trump would do. Buy us a month, we'll destroy everything, and then we can go ahead and release it. She was right. December 2025. The Epstein file cover-up on December 19, 2025, 30 days after Trump signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, the DOJ released heavily redacted documents, over 550 pages completely blacked out, one 119-page document entirely redacted, another 255 pages completely blacked out. Then on December 20th, NBC discovered 15 photos had been removed from the DOJ website.
This new one they have, their new star, Crockett. How about her? Is that real? Are they serious about that? That's their new star? If that's their new star, they're in serious trouble. I mean, this is Crockett. Oh man. But we've done a job, but they've totally lost their confidence. And it's a hard thing when you lose your confidence. But they've taken a lot of beatings, and now they're going to rely on Crockett to bring them back.
Why does he yell your name? Crockett over and over. And then they're going to bring Crockett.
In addition, the Trump regime DOJ released photos of Bill Clinton, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, and children, and they were Diana Ross's children. And the redacted faces insinuated that somehow Clinton and Jackson and Diana Ross must have been involved with these children. And then the children said, this is us. And these were public photos from like 1993. Don't you dare insinuate that these children were the children involved in Epstein's sex trafficking ring. So this is what the Trump regime was trying to do here. By the way, the Trump regime also insinuated that Reid Hoffman, entrepreneur, billionaire, was somehow in Epstein Island or something like that. Reid Hoffman previously wrote on November 14, 2025, Trump should release all of the Epstein files, every person and every document in the files,
including one showing Trump's picture in a desk drawer with Trump, Epstein, Melania, Maxwell photos. The DOJ claimed abundance of caution and reposted it, but Americans saw the cover-up Crockett warned about. Lawmakers from both parties erupted. Representative Ro Khanna does not comply with legislation. Representative Thomas Massey, A future DOJ could convict the current Attorney General, Senate Leader Chuck Schumer. Simply releasing a mountain of blacked-out pages violates the spirit of transparency and the letter of the law. Despite redactions, disturbing details emerged.
So, these guys don't play by any rules. They break everything. And right now, they are trying to not only rig the midterms, but potentially rig the next election by making sure that we have more of these complacent, complicit folk continuing to run the House, because honestly, they just do whatever he tells them to do. They don't do what the Constitution calls for, and they don't do what their oath calls for.
I want this complete release because it will bring justice for the victims. I want this complete release because it will show that the calls for baseless investigations of me are nothing more than a political persecution and slander. I was never a client of Epstein's and never had any engagement with him other than fundraising for MIT. The call for an investigation is an obvious ploy to avoid releasing the files. Simply release all the files and expose the people who had both deep and ongoing relationships with Epstein. I'll do everything in my power going forward to advocate for the release of the files, to get justice for Epstein's victims, and to promote the values of truth our great country was founded on. I refuse to bend the knee to Donald Trump and his slanderous lies.
A 2020 court document alleged Epstein took a 14-year-old girl to Mar-a-Lago and introduced her to Trump, saying, "This is a good one, right?" Trump smiled and nodded. Photos showed Epstein with a $22,500 check signed by Trump. Crockett had predicted this exact cover-up. Threats and attacks escalate. November 21st, 2025. A person made white supremacist threats and hand gestures at Crockett's D.C. office, hours after Trump suggested Democratic lawmakers' comments were punishable by death.
Apparently, there will not be another presidential debate. I'm sure you watched Kamala Harris and Donald Trump on Tuesday. This has been on again, off again. He says it's not going to happen. What are you laughing at?
I'm sorry. I did not know that that's where you were going with this. Listen, even a blind man could see that it was a man down situation the other day during the debate. One of the phrases that we use as a colloquialism is that we snatch wigs. Well, I'm just telling you, he got his toupee snatched. And so regardless of what type of spinning he's going to try to do, it is clear that he knows that this is a woman that he literally just cannot measure up to. And so absolutely, he doesn't want to go another round because if he didn't think he was knocked down before, he would absolutely recognize it if he went for another round with her.
You'll recall the post that Donald Trump had been making. He goes, now that the Democrats are using the Epstein hoax involving Democrats, not Republicans, to try to deflect from their disastrous shutdown and all of their other failures, I will be asking AG Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots at the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, JP Morgan, Chase, and many other people and institutions to determine what was going on with them and him. This is another Russia scam, he goes on to say. And then that's when Attorney General Pam Bondi responded to the social media post like it was an order and said, "Thank you, Mr. President. SDNY, United States Attorney Jay Clayton is one of the most capable and trusted prosecutors in the country."
Crockett responded, "When the president spreads hate and lies, when he targets opponents, when he calls for the death of sitting members of Congress, he puts a literal target on our backs. Every time I speak truth, the threats get louder. I will not be intimidated." December 22nd, 2025. VP JD Vance called Crockett a street girl with a persona as real as her nails at Turning Point USA. Crockett fired back on MSNBC, calling out racist tropes and emphasizing her pro bono legal work defending protesters.
The hottest one out there. I gave him,
It's very nice to see you. It's very nice.
I gave him a shout out last night.
I don't know how this guy made it to the court. He doesn't sound like he's that intelligent, or he pretended not to be intelligent. I'm not really sure. But the base is, we're talking about a case where there was no standing.
It's already not with integrity when you're taking orders via social media posts when the DOJ is supposed to be independent, and now you're using the pretext of a criminal investigation into Trump's political enemies as a way not to produce the records that, by the way, Clinton and Reid Hoffman are saying you should be producing.
Trump's September meltdown in the Oval Office revealed everything. A reporter simply said Crockett's name, and Trump spent 3 minutes attacking her. Why? Because she scares him, because she tells the truth, because she can't be bought, can't be intimidated, and can't be silenced. Subscribe to this channel if you believe in holding Trump accountable. Jasmine Crockett destroyed Trump on live TV by doing something simple, telling the truth. And Trump's response? Calling her low IQ, threatening her with death, and proving every single thing she said about him was correct.